In the book, the Quidditch World Cup is given an expansive build-up, with Harry travelling to the match with the Weasleys and being introduced to Portkeys, the different Ministry of Magic officials, and the sheer scale of the magical event. The book carefully describes the stadium, mascots, and crowd interactions, emphasising the global wizarding community. In the film, however, the Quidditch match itself is never shown. The story cuts directly from the start of the game to its aftermath. This removes the detailed depiction of international magical culture and instead treats the World Cup mainly as a backdrop to introduce the Death Eater attack. The attack at the Quidditch World Cup is also handled differently. In the book, masked Death Eaters terrorise Muggle campsite owners by levitating them and cause widespread panic, with Harry, Ron and Hermione caught in the chaos. Winky the house elf is found holding Harry's wand, which was used to cast the Dark Mark. This subplot introduces themes of house elf mistreatment and sets up Barty Crouch Jr.'s eventual reveal. In the movie, the Death Eater attack is far briefer, and the house elf storyline is completely omitted. The Dark Mark is cast, but the context surrounding it is stripped away, with no mention of Winky or the wand confusion. In the book, Winky is an important secondary character who provides crucial clues about Barty Crouch Jr.'s presence. She is dismissed by Barty Crouch Sr. after being found with Harry's wand, and her mistreatment highlights class tensions in the wizarding world. The film cuts her role entirely, meaning her function in connecting Crouch Jr. to the World Cup events is absent. Instead, the film simplifies the mystery and only lightly implies Crouch Jr.'s activities before the Triwizard Tournament. At Hogwarts, the arrival of the other wizarding schools differs in scale and presentation. In the book, Beauxbatons Academy and Durmstrang Institute arrive with formal processions, but without the theatrical choreography shown in the film. The movie adds stylized entrances. Beauxbatons students perform a dance accompanied by fluttering butterflies, while Durmstrang students display martial arts-like staff twirling. These were visual embellishments created for cinematic impact and are not present in the source material, where the schools are introduced more traditionally. The selection of the Triwizard champions also differs. In the book, the Goblet of Fire ceremony is described in detail, with Dumbledore reading each chosen name in a calm and orderly manner. When Harry's name is drawn, the atmosphere turns tense, but Dumbledore remains collected and questioning. In the film, however, Dumbledore reacts with sudden intensity, rushing toward Harry and grabbing him while demanding whether he put his name in the Goblet of Fire. This change significantly alters Dumbledore's demeanour, contrasting with the composed and deliberate approach he maintains in the novel. The character of Ludo Bagman, who plays a major role in the book, is completely cut from the film. In the novel, Bagman is head of the Department of Magical Games and Sports, acts as Master of Ceremonies for the Triwizard Tournament, and becomes a suspicious figure due to his gambling debts and questionable dealings. His absence in the film means several layers of mystery and red herrings are removed, streamlining the plot but reducing the intrigue around the tournament. This also removes the entire plotline where the twins make a bet with Bagman and win. Yet, Bagman never pays them, eventually receiving Harry's Triwizard Tournament winnings to start their dream of owning a joke shop. The first task is presented differently between the book and the film. In the book, Harry draws the Hungarian horntail dragon during the champion selection and prepares by practicing the summoning charm, Accio, to call his firebolt broom. The actual task is held in a large arena, with the champions facing their dragons one at a time while the audience watches. Harry relies on speed and maneuvering to snatch the golden egg. In the film, the task is expanded into an extended chase sequence through Hogwarts grounds, with the horntail breaking free of its chain and pursuing Harry across rooftops and towers. This cinematic change raises the visual spectacle but shifts away from the contained, rule-bound nature of the competition described in the book. The golden egg clue is also treated differently. In the book, the egg screeches loudly when opened, leaving Harry puzzled. Cedric Diggory later advises him to open it underwater, which leads Harry to the prefect's bathroom, where Moaning Myrtle provides further guidance. In the film, Harry briefly opens the egg in the Gryffindor common room, and it emits the screeching sound, but the sequence with Myrtle in the bathroom is included with less build-up and context. The chain of hints, Cedric's assistance, and Harry's investigative process are condensed, making the path to solving the clue more straightforward. Rita Skeeter's subplot is another major difference. In the book, Skeeter is introduced as a journalist for the Daily Prophet who twists the truth and publishes damaging articles about Harry, Hagrid, and Hermione. A mystery unfolds around her ability to obtain private information, which is later revealed to be due to her illegal animagus form as a beetle. In the film, Skeeter only appears briefly during the tournament coverage, with no exploration of her manipulative reporting or her animagus secret. This removes both a secondary mystery and a critique of media influence present in the novel. This also removes an entire plotline where Hermione finds out about Rita's secret and blackmails her into writing more positive stories surrounding Harry and holding her captive in a jar. The Yule Ball is portrayed with notable differences. In the book, the ball is depicted as both a formal event and a social turning point for the characters, with much attention given to the awkwardness of finding dates, Ron's jealousy toward Victor Crumb and Hermione, and the tension this causes among the trio. The film condenses these developments, showing Ron's frustration more bluntly and largely reducing the extended build-up of students nervously pairing off. Additionally, in the novel, the ball includes a variety of interactions between characters, such as Harry's uncomfortable evening with Parvati Patil and Hagrid's developing relationship with Madame Maxime, both of which are abbreviated in the film. Barty Crouch Sr.'s decline and eventual death unfold in more detail in the book. The novel describes how he begins behaving erratically, sending letters and disappearing at odd times before being found wandering and incoherent on the Hogwarts grounds. His death is gradual in terms of narrative build-up and creates significant suspicion. In the movie, however, Crouch Sr. is shown only briefly, and his body is suddenly discovered in the forest without the preceding mystery. This truncates the subplot, minimizing the audience's opportunity to connect his behavior to the eventual revelation about his son. House elves, who are central to the book's subplots, are removed almost entirely from the film. In the novel, both Winky and Dobby appear at Hogwarts, with Winky sinking into despair after her dismissal and Dobby helping Harry by providing gillyweed for the second task. Their presence underscores themes of enslavement and freedom in the wizarding world, as well as playing a direct role in the tournament. In the film, Dobby is omitted, and Neville Longbottom gives Harry the gillyweed instead. This simplifies the plot but eliminates the social commentary tied to house elves and the entire subplot where Hermione forms SPEW to fight for house elf rights. The second task is depicted differently between book and film. In the novel, the champions are told to rescue someone dear to them from the depths of the Black Lake. Harry struggles to solve the egg's riddle until Moaning Myrtle helps him understand it underwater. On the day of the task, he uses gillyweed, supplied by Dobby, to grow gills and swim. He finds Ron, Hermione, Cho Chang, and Fleur's younger sister Gabriel held by the merpeople. When Fleur fails to arrive, Harry attempts to rescue both Ron and Gabriel, showing moral courage. In the film, Neville provides the gillyweed, Myrtle plays a much smaller role, and Gabriel is briefly introduced with no prior connection. The scene is streamlined, focusing on action more than the careful puzzle-solving and moral dilemma presented in the book. The third task also has major reductions in the film. In the book, the maze is filled with dangerous magical creatures and enchantments, including blast-ended Scroots, Boggarts, and a Sphinx who poses a riddle. Each of these obstacles tests the champion's magical skill and intelligence. In the film, nearly all creatures and riddles are removed. The maze instead becomes a shifting, claustrophobic structure meant to create suspense, with the only true obstacle being the maze itself turning hostile. This removes the emphasis on magical problem-solving and reduces the variety of challenges faced by the champions. The reveal of Barty Crouch Jr.'s involvement diverges as well. In the book, after the graveyard sequence, Dumbledore, Snape, and McGonagall subdue Moody, actually Barty Crouch Jr., and interrogate him with Veritaserum, leading to a detailed account of how he escaped Azkaban, lived under the Imperious Curse, and returned to Voldemort's service. This testimony explains his impersonation of Moody throughout the year. In the film, the revelation is abrupt, with Barty Crouch Jr. exposed immediately after the graveyard events, twitching and behaving erratically without the lengthy backstory. The omission of his history and Winky's involvement simplifies the narrative, but removes context for how he infiltrated Hogwarts. The graveyard scene where Voldemort returns is treated with different levels of detail. In the book, the ritual is described step by step. Peter Pettigrew adds bone of the father, flesh of the servant, and blood of the enemy into the cauldron, creating Voldemort's reborn body. The novel also emphasizes Harry's horror and the ritual's dark symbolism. The film condenses these steps, showing the cauldron ritual quickly and moving straight to Voldemort's return, with less explanation of the ingredients and their meaning. Voldemort's restored form and the duel with Harry are expanded differently between formats. In the book, Voldemort summons his Death Eaters, rebukes them for failing him, and demonstrates his renewed power before forcing Harry into a duel. During the duel, their wands connect in priori incantatem, producing golden beams and summoning echoes of Voldemort's past victims, including Harry's parents, Cedric, and Frank Bryce. These echoes encourage Harry to escape. In the film, Voldemort also gathers Death Eaters, but the scene is shorter, with less emphasis on his dialogue and their shame. The duel is visually dramatized, but the connection of the wands and appearance of spirits happens with faster pacing and less explanation of priori incantatem. Cedric Diggory's death is portrayed with slightly different weight. In the book, Voldemort orders Pettigrew to kill the spare, and Cedric is struck down immediately upon arrival in the graveyard. His death is sudden, and the narrative repeatedly emphasizes its shocking bluntness. In the film, Cedric's death happens in a similar way, but the pacing lingers longer on Harry's reaction, holding more emotional focus on the body and less on the randomness and abruptness stressed in the book. Harry's return from the graveyard is treated differently in terms of tone and aftermath. In the book, when Harry and Cedric's body are transported back by the portkey, the atmosphere is described as one of immediate confusion, horror, and grief. The crowd reacts chaotically, not understanding what has happened, and Harry is in shock, barely able to explain. Dumbledore quickly realizes the seriousness of the situation and takes Harry away to recount what occurred. In the film, the sequence is condensed. The crowd reacts emotionally, cheering at first, and then in horror. But the pacing moves more quickly toward Dumbledore's confrontation with Moody, minimizing the layered responses of the Hogwarts community. The book spends considerable time on Harry recounting the graveyard events in Dumbledore's office, with Fudge, Snape, McGonagall, and Crouch Jr. all present. Here, Barty Crouch Jr.'s full backstory is revealed under Veritaserum, explaining his survival, his imprisonment by his father, his escape using Polyjuice Potion, and his role in orchestrating Harry's placement in the tournament. Fudge denies Voldemort's return and accuses Dumbledore of stirring panic, leading to the beginning of the Ministry's opposition to Harry and Dumbledore in later books. In the film, this extended scene is heavily reduced. Crouch Jr.'s history is not explained in detail. Fudge's denial is mentioned only briefly, and the political ramifications are minimized, cutting out a major setup for Order of the Phoenix. The closing of the Triwizard Tournament also differs. In the book, Dumbledore addresses the school in the hospital wing, emphasizing Cedric's bravery and telling the truth about Voldemort's return. even though Fudge refuses to accept it. This speech establishes the theme of truth versus denial and prepares characters for the division in the wizarding world. The film shortens this resolution, offering only a brief acknowledgement of Cedric's death and closing with a somber reflection among the students. The broader political consequences are left largely untouched on screen.